Hello and welcome to the IGN UK Podcast. I'm Alex and I'm joined this week by Daniel Krupa.
Hello.
And also by Diddy Kong Dale.
Hello, that's not my full name.
That's public.
That's not my Christian name.
Pale Dale. That's what Rory always calls you.
Behind my back. Never says it to my face.
He's literally behind your back going, when Pale Dale is on the podcast. Should we tell the story of that? Just for a bit of context, I think.
Well, Diddy Kong Dale is just because your name kind of... Like,
alliteration, I guess.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And
that's it.
And Pale Dale, mainly rhyming. Before Dale joined the podcast, we're like, we should call him Pale Ale Dale because everyone here at IGN's a bit of a fan of the Pale Ale, apart from Tilly.
Yeah.
Straight up lager, man.
Yes. Very simple. Foster's, nothing else.
And we're going, like, a new guy starting called Dale. Let's call him Pale Ale Dale.
And then
we never did because we got scared. Because
Yeah.
it's quite a big thing to drop on someone as they start. And then the other day, Rory passed you in the corridor and went, right, Pale Ale Dale.
Yeah.
What?
But then there is a Dale's Pale Ale.
Yeah. And then it came full circle for us.
I'm quite an intimidating presence, so I wouldn't have started
Didn't know
coming
about
at me
them.
with nicknames like that.
Didn't know about
because
them.
nicknames are bad names.
The bad
What
names.
was your nickname at school?
So because of my surname, which is Driver, by the way, there was a lot of taxi, screw, things like that. Lorry. That was about it, really. So not much fun. Not very inventive either.
Like screw, like kids working in a prison.
My brother
That's the
was actually
screen.
known as Taxi Driver for a long time, so everyone called him Taxi. He was on a football pitch and be like, "Oh, Taxi, pass the ball."
That's quite funny.
Not really.
Heading
It wasn't that funny.
Not for someone who's had to weather it. What about you?
Well, no, you first.
I'm deflecting. What about you?
People used to call me Champ and King and stuff like that.
Champ.
What sort of universe was this?
Alex, champion of the world. Shut up.
I can't actually remember.
Monkey-based
I
something,
remember,
maybe?
it's always surnames, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
Simmons and Simone.
But that's not. That's just like
I
a
don't
very
remember.
lad thing to do, isn't it?
I don't
A
actually
football
remember
thing.
having one.
Yeah.
What about you?
I'm not going there.
Oh, come on.
There's nothing
You need
specific.
friends to have a nickname.
Yeah. Ooh. Nickname. Well, yeah, not nicknames. It was just
Maybe.
group of them, but like grew up as a little fat kid, so obviously got bullied.
Right.
Those are bad names. Those are bad names.
You can't
I've
mention
actually
them
just
to
reached
this
a
day.
point in my life where I cannot think about those
shit.
names.
Sorry.
So let's move on now.
Pop it open.
Crying out loud.
Anyway, last week, Dale and I got to see Uncharted 4, and man, is that a pretty game.
Oh, yeah.
But rather than just tell you about it, there are 7 things in Uncharted 4 that I
For the
really,
benefit
really
of the
like.
audio.
People listening, Alex got thrown off then because he had to put up 7 fingers.
Hey, I'm tired.
And one of them was a V symbol at me.
There are 7 things, and rather than me just telling you about them, you can pick in which order I tell you about
You've made
them.
it into a little game.
It'll get an
Right,
interactive
okay.
adventure, if you will.
Okay, do you want to go first?
Well, I feel like I'm
Oh, you
going to be
played
able
it
to
as well.
guess most of them.
Well, you don't know what order they're going to be in.
Okay, so I'm just purely guessing order.
So it's a bit of fun for you. It's a
Okay.
bit of fun
Well,
for
It's
everyone.
basically
Right,
pick a
okay.
number between 1 and 7. That's all I'm
Yeah,
asking.
but
you to
Alex,
do.
don't reduce the game down to its basics, because when you like strip down chess just to the moves, it doesn't seem like a great
It is
game.
very much like
I
chess.
feel like the skill level's lacking. But I'm going to just pick out a number 4.
Ooh.
Dynamic stealth. Now,
It's like reading the back of the box. Okay,
basically what it
dynamic
was.
stealth, okay.
so I guess one of the things that with Uncharted 2 and 3 is that they became like pretty much the same tempo. It's all like bang, 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 loads of stuff happening. And then with The Last of Us, it was really slowed it down. And that really, you can see that kind of learning happening in Uncharted 4. Because stealth plays a much bigger part. It's not, you bowl into an area, you see the guys, you start shooting. But you can get away from them, get out of their line of sight, duck back into cover, and then they lose you. And it's kind of, I guess, a bit like Metal Gear or something like that.
Yeah.
In that they have kind of...
I've got an icon above their head, don't they? It's
yeah,
like
it's
a
kind
warning
of like
sign.
green means that you're not being detected. I think amber was kind of like get into cover now, otherwise they're going to spot you. Red is like...
And it fills up as well, so it's a little meter filling up, so you know when it's hitting the top,
And do
they're going to the next level of
Do
alert.
they go back to be completely like unflustered, or are they still a bit like, he's here somewhere?
Well, it's kind of like
It's like Metal Gear
It's
again,
Metal
isn't
Gear
it?
in terms of like, well, that was the last known position, so we'll
Right.
kind of congregate on that area. And I know it's nothing revolutionary, but in a game like Uncharted,
It changes that game a lot.
which
Yeah.
kind of pushes or has tended to push you in a certain direction, it makes it a lot more open, a lot more fluid, and it's
With
cool.
Uncharted though, you either you bowled in, or you held back and did stealth until you got caught, and then it was all guns blazing.
Yeah.
There wasn't like right, I can duck out for a bit now. No, once you're in, they were coming to get you. But now you can send off high alert and then duck out for a bit and then let it all calm down and then go around and do some stealth moves again as well.
Do like a
hence the dynamic.
Clinical strike. Exactly. And then duck out, duck in somewhere else. Bang.
The thing is, with stealth games, particularly Metal Gear, I kind of want it to always do it perfectly, and then as soon as I muck up it just all goes tits up.
Yeah.
And I'm just running around like with my head on fire. And it's just like,
Head on fire.
I've messed this up big time.
Every single level in that.
Elena's on fire. Sully's on fire, but it says him right. Cigars.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it must be possible to do it perfect stealth, but I certainly didn't in my limited
I
play
guess
time.
the fun is like
But
doing
obviously-
it as far as you can and then going,
There's some leniency, isn't
Let's
there?
go
With,
with that, yeah.
with Metal Gear Phantom Pain as well, there was the initial alert. So if they caught you, you had a few seconds to
that little
react.
window, which is a very cool little mechanic actually.
And that way you can still kind
You
of get
can
your perfect
preserve
self.
it,
Yeah.
It's
good.
Oh, can I pick a number?
Yes. Don't pick 4, obviously.
7.
7. Ooh. Open world. Now, Uncharted. So let me just preface this with what we saw. So it's about 20 minutes of gameplay, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, depends how good we were.
20 minutes for me, a little bit longer for you.
Well,
I
mate,
think.
wow. No need for that.
And
but, yeah.
it was the area in Madagascar just before the E3 demo that we saw, which obviously looked amazing. And you start off in a Jeep, you do a bit in a Jeep, and then you do a gunfight. But both parts of that were A, felt completely different, and B, felt really, really open. To the point in the Jeep, and I may or may not talk about that in another point, so I'm not talking about it too much, but you kind of didn't really know where you were going. It wasn't like, the Uncharted of old, where it's like you had climbing points. You'd have like ledges that were dark grey, and then a yellow one is like, well, that's obviously where I need to go. Yeah. It wasn't like that at all. It was much more subtle. And
So you're driving around, where were you, Madagascar, you said?
Yeah. But I'm not going to talk too much about that because I might talk more about that later. But it just felt really kind of like, I felt like I'm properly exploring
It's like a
here.
Top Gear challenge.
I might talk about that in a minute.
Okay.
I think we should go on to another point then.
But anyway, the open world, love it. And also in both scenarios, it feels like you're properly exploring the
definitely.
world rather than just like, hey, I'm being
I
dragged
think
along
you
for this
got
adventure.
that a little bit from what they showed at E3 when you were driving down that hillside,
Exactly.
and you can go down multiple routes,
Yes.
and there's bespoke dialogue.
Yeah.
Because with Uncharted, you have that really high production value where you feel like the character is talking because of what happens in that very moment.
We saw a lot
Not
more of
just,
that as well.
Cookie cutter dialogue.
Yeah.
But even with that though, you're still, you are kind of in a linear
it's like
path.
one of-
You're being
one of
funneled
fun,
to a
yeah.
degree, whereas this didn't feel like that at all. It felt like you were
That's
on
cool.
an open world map.
Yeah.
That's
Although
very
we couldn't
different.
see more than what we could actually play with.
It's obviously not as open world as something like
Of course not,
Grand
no.
Theft Auto.
Yes,
Where
which
you've
is
got,
open.
you're still being funneled from point A to point B, but how you get there is much more stylish and sweet.
That's a nice balance.
Yeah.
Number 2.
Can't remember. Fluidity. Now, I do like things that are fluid.
Liquid
Right.
Uncharted.
Yes. And I guess this comes back to a point that you just mentioned there in terms of production values. Like Naughty Dog is exceptional, at kind of firstly creating that game, but then going the extra mile into making it just feel like completely real. And there's a couple of things. In fact, we've got a video going up this week, and it may well be on the site by the time.
Definitely by the time you hear the podcast.
Yes, but there's a couple of things that really kind of stood out for me. So the first thing is the Jeep itself is I must have seen about 4 or 5 different ways of Nate getting into the Jeep depending on where you are. Like if you hit the triangle button and you're standing around the front, he doesn't walk around the side, open the door and get in. He'll hop up onto the bonnet and then kind of vault over into the seat. If you do it from Sully's side, he clambers over Sully.
That's really
and,
cool.
like,
Yeah.
Sully ducks back out the way.
Does he do my favourite? It's like where you park too close to a wall and you've got to very gently just slide yourself into the car.
Like banging the door.
Or put your hand near the door as a case. That's my favourite one.
Do that.
Or the bit where the seatbelt was too hot. And you can't put it in for about 5 minutes.
Would be in Madagascar as well, wouldn't he? He doesn't wear a seatbelt. He's
That's
very
the
reckless.
extent of my car-based observational comedy.
Good. What about a winch? Do you like a winch?
I've never had to use a winch.
Wow, get
You would
ready.
You would like the winch in this. Okay.
It's
Because
a solid winch action.
it I guess, how would you describe it?
So-
It behaves as you would want a winch to behave.
Yeah, but I feel like-
which sounds really rubbish, but it's really cool.
But I feel like they don't cut corners where they could easily cut
Yeah,
corners.
that could be press a button.
A winch,
Very-
exactly. You could press a button, and you do press a button to grab the winch. But
Yeah.
when you take it around a tree, you actually carry it with you around the tree,
Yeah.
and then hook it on. And then they could have easily just been a button prompt and slap it on.
Yeah,
tree.
and
nobody would have
animation.
been.
Yeah, no one.
No one would have cared. But
And
it's the little details. I
And it is
think.
like he's walking it within that hand, and if he walks around the tree, he'll pass
Yeah.
it around to the other hand to get around it. It's
Too
little
good.
details like that. It's like.
Too
And there was another bit where you have to kind of pull down a
bridge.
which has got two struts. And now you can either go around it and pull one down, and the bridge will collapse on one side, pull the other one down, both, or you can attach it around both, so it collapses.
Using
at the
your
same
noggin.
time. Little details.
He didn't actually do that, by the way.
No.
He just thought about it afterwards, and then asked the guy, and he said, "Yeah,
so
you
if
can
from
do
Naughty
that."
Dog thought it's like you could do both. Oh well, yeah, I was just testing it.
The way you fight enemies,
We stopped the game now.
Huh?
We stopped the game now.
No, this
Alright.
is still
Same
it's
point.
Still fluidity.
Oh wow.
There's a bit like the grappling hook, which I may or may not talk about in more detail later. But you swing across, and there's a bit where I landed, and you'll see it in the video. And I went to push one of the enemies off, but rather than just falling off, he's there on the edge, like, you know, what do you call that, windmilling his arms.
It's a
to kind
balancing
of
act, wasn't
rebalance.
it? Yeah.
And then he gets back and like slugs me in the face.
Nice.
Another bit where you drop down on someone's head and then like flick up his AK with your foot and then capture it and shoot. It's just
That's cool,
oh
isn't it?
man, it's stylish and spectacular and
Absolutely, yeah.
very
Sexy.
cool.
Cool.
Yes.
All right. I don't remember what numbers you got left. 2.
You've
Yeah,
just done 2.
You just had
That
2,
was
3.
There you go.
3. The story. Everybody likes a pirate. And this game focuses on
That's subtitle.
the most notorious pirate of all, Henry Avery, who was an 18th century pirate, and his career only lasted 2 years, but yet he amassed a fortune
Good pirate.
of
Big
$400
pirate.
million.
Okay. Wow.
Which I can't remember if that is
Adjusted for
adjusted for
I
inflation
can't
or
remember
not,
that
but I
either.
think it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And basically what he did, he didn't operate alone. He united a fleet of 5 other pirate clans, and they were the scourge of the Indian Ocean. And eventually, obviously, a massive manhunt came over him, but him or his fortune was never found.
No.
And that's where we pick up the adventure with
So
Nate.
this is real.
I
It's
don't
based in. But it's based in truth.
Documentary.
Yes, because most of the other Uncharted are based in like.
Pirates did exist.
They're based on like the urban legends, aren't they? Legends,
Some of
I
the
suppose.
There was pirates like the high. We don't know.
I don't know. But what I love about it is, and you know me, I just like a game with a strong narrative and a story that's going to take me away to faraway places.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say, you know me, I like a strong pirate.
I do like a strong pirate as well.
To take me away
But-
to fight.
Yes.
I feel
That's
like
what I
it's been
need
a
right
while.
now. God damn.
Don't feel like it's been a while since we've had a game with a really strong narrative as well. Like the last few games
Yeah.
I played, like The Division and Far Cry Primal, I skipped over pretty much every bit of
I don't really.
Yeah.
story information with those
well,
games.
the story is pretty much obsolete in The Division. You don't
Yeah.
need to know what's going on. You just like.
But
I
it's-
just want to get that sweet new gun.
But I'm really looking forward to a new game now
Yeah.
with a story I actually care about and want to watch. Like even when we were doing the playthrough, I wanted to watch a cutscene. I wanted to hear it.
Everyone wants to go away with this pirate and get it adjusted for inflation.
Even Metal Gear, which you know,
Yeah, that
I
was,
used to follow those games for the story, was kind of felt a bit secondary.
He just still doesn't know the final twist either.
All right.
I'm holding that over his head.
Right.
It's like the end of British Empire.
You've got
You ever
left.
watched British Empire?
Yes, but I'm not
Long
sure it's
time ago.
Do you know the
comparable.
last episode?
No.
It was all a dream.
Was it actually?
It was all a dream.
What?
It was all in the mind of Brutus. He never worked in a. It's all a twist.
Never worked in a leisure centre.
He might have done, but all the events of the show were in his mind.
What a boring
What?
dream.
Yeah. There you go. High concept.
Right, you've got 1, 5, and 6.
1.
1. Driving.
Really excited.
Right, it's the best bit of the 20-minute demo is because you start off in the Jeep, and obviously we saw it's the same Jeep that's from the E3 demo, but you're driving it, and you've got Sully and Nate's brother in it. I forget his name.
Sam.
Troy Baker.
Sam's the character
Everyone's
name.
Also, they really made Nate look exactly like
No, no.
the North.
Yeah.
Like
He
looks
matured,
he
hasn't he?
looks a bit like him before. He looks exactly the same.
He's got
doesn't
some
he?
grey going on.
No, not really. He still looks
Ah.
pretty cool.
How old is he supposed to be?
Ooh.
So it's like time has passed, isn't it?
Yeah, this is based
Mid-forties,
afterwards.
like-
So he's given up That's right, isn't it?
adventuring,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then his brother sort of
His
pulls him
brothers
back in.
Come back in for one last.
Yeah.
Shtick. Anyway, driving. So you mentioned Top Gear. It felt exactly like some of those kind of big adventures that they did where, you know, you're not following a set path. It's kind of like, well, you know, you kind of get over there. But there were points where we were in the
We were
middle
lost.
of like riverbeds. And I was like, I have no
Yeah.
idea where to go. And going back to the point of it being subtle, there would be like kind of wet tyre tracks, really subtle on the rocks, like, right, that's where I've got to go. And then you drive up there and then you'd find somewhere to connect the winch, pull the car up. And it was just, it feels like you're properly exploring the world on four wheels.
Definitely.
Rather than just
I think
I'm
it's like
just
Top
bombing
Gear.
along.
You go around a corner and then you have this kind of hilarious but orchestrated set piece.
It probably is quite like that, to be honest, because you go across a rickety bridge and of course it's like Uncharted. It's like, ooh, just made
And
it.
you have something racist painted on the side
Thankfully,
of your Jeep.
no.
It also
Well,
calls
I
his
didn't
brother
see
There's
it.
no
a
more
hamster.
tasteful than that, you see.
Yeah.
Calls his brother a hamster several times as well. So.
Not a real hamster.
Not a real
Hamster.
hamster.
Not a real hamster.
Right.
Anybody seen the new trailer for the new Top Gear while we're on that topic?
The BBC one?
Yeah.
No.
Looks
No.
really good.
It's a big cast, isn't it, of people?
Oh, it's ridiculous.
I wonder if that's just to make it more efficient to make.
Maybe.
But-
But
Or maybe it's like we'll test all these guys out and see which ones stick.
Bait them off.
Yeah.
yes, Chris Evans. But I love Chris Evans. Anyway, we digress. Anyway, cannot wait for that. 2 left. 5 and 6.
6.
Nate and Sully. So I guess one of my problems with Uncharted 2 and 3, Uncharted 2 I absolutely loved, Uncharted 3 I liked, but they came so close together that it just felt like, you know, I kind of had enough of them. And also with Golden Abyss, that wasn't very long afterwards. Like we had a lot of Uncharted in a very short space of time. And here we are 5 years later, and I've really missed them. And just from that short kind of period of time, the way they interacted with each other, the script is tight. It feels like, you know, it's such a cliche, but like, you know, hanging out with a couple of old friends again. It's really good.
I'll harken back to the point you made before about the traversal in the car. There were several points where you didn't think you were going to get up there with a car, and then Sully will mention that as well. Like, I didn't think we were going to get up there.
Yeah.
Or there's a rickety bridge that almost collapses, and then Nate's like, "Don't panic, I've got this. It's fine."
So
and they're talking
natural.
about everything that's happening. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's
And also, like, if you succeed, it's like, you maybe want to try a different route, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it all feels natural and, like, you know, very kind of organic rather than just like, I've hit a trigger point for him to say that.
They're so good, those little bits of dialogue.
Definitely.
Because one, they sell the world and what you're doing. It's not just playing a game, but also they reveal something about the relationship between the characters, whether it's a dig or something.
Yeah.
Or he took a hooker to church.
Yeah.
Like
Or
the only-
reveal something about.
It's about Sully.
Yeah.
No, that wasn't me. Sully said that.
Oh, I thought it was a stay. Oh, I thought it was
That's what he did on Sunday.
Well, yeah, keep my weekends busy.
The only thing that's a little bit disconcerting is when you're in the middle of the firefight, because they're literally buzzing around you, and so many times I thought, oh my god, I'm getting attacked from the side, and like it's Sully just like bowling.
smashing them in the face. Good to see you, old friend.
But it's because they're there and they're backing you up. I don't think they can get killed, can they?
I didn't really see him shooting anybody either, though, to be honest.
No.
But I'm sure they do.
Useless.
But they would just seem to be darting from cover point to cover point, and then we're just standing there just trying to slowly pick people off, and they're just legging it around all over the place.
I guess that's a bit like me in real life. I'm the one that's doing all of the kind of real work, whereas you guys are just
It's not like you're in a division, that's for
legging
sure.
it around.
Rory today, crying out loud. So we were playing the last mission in Division today, and you're level 30, I'm level 25. I was 25 at the end. Rory's 18. So like, he should definitely be staying back.
Yeah.
Every time, just running right in. It's like he's not learning.
And then it's like,
You're not seeing what's happening.
guys, I'm down. It's like, really? I don't think I'm
You're doing the
fresh out.
same thing, but you're expecting a different outcome.
Yeah.
You're mad.
He's so low level, he won't even be able to see what level they are as well. They'll just have that little alert over their head. Yeah, he's still just bowling into
He's just
them.
brave. Bless him.
So that leaves us with number 5, the grappling hook, which when you get it right, you feel amazing.
Yep.
But when you get it wrong, you look like a proper idiot. Because it's not that easy to use.
Played a bit in the beta, and it was a bit tricky.
Because it's not like, you know, you press the button and then you'll do this kind of fixed move. It takes into account the physics of where you're moving from, the speed you're moving from. And there's this bit where I saw a bad guy and I thought, right, I'm going to jump down, swing down, and then I just fall short and just drop onto the floor.
I was imagining like true Looney Tunes style Wile E. Coyote, just like smashing into the wall. and just
That happened.
You could totally do that, yeah.
Yeah, like I kind of
smearing
ran
yourself
out
down.
and I was going around like a tower, and I just kind of hit the button and rolled the
Be with you in a
Ping-ponging
minute. Shoot you in a minute. Just wait at the top.
Thankfully, you can shoot while you're hanging on for dear life. But
It feels like really physical though, doesn't it? If like compared to say the one in the Arkham games, which is hit L1 and that's it, you're up there.
Yeah.
But this one, like there was a bit when I saw the prompt above me, so I hit it and he just threw it up there. But I wasn't.
Feels more mechanical.
I was on the floor. There was no momentum. I wasn't swinging anywhere. So you need to have.
Oh yeah, in Arkham you don't even think about it. You just press it now.
it's a get out of jail free card.
With this, you need to think about real world physics when you're actually using it. So I thought it was great. Yeah.
Yeah. So those are my 7 things. But overall, like I just literally cannot wait to play that game. It was hard. I think so. It was we were about a third into the game, that particular part.
Well, we had one particular problem there, didn't we? And that was the cover. The cover buttons getting mixed up with the Division.
Yeah, so
is that the opposite?
Yeah. I've been doing that all week with other games.
I did one bit really well. It was my first go. Had a sniper rifle. Got to the top of the tower. Did a silent kill, and was like literally one-shotting loads of dudes. And I thought, right, I'm going to duck into cover. But I didn't. I jumped over the edge and then just plummeted to my doom.
I think the 2 buttons are really interchangeable in all this. Are on PlayStation X and circle, or A and B on Xbox. It's like cover and roll. Let's just decide on one as a,
you need a universal.
Because in last week I played Gears, Dark Souls 3 and Division, and I'm just
it's all different.
I'm getting to the right
situation.
My favourite bit was when you were hanging off an edge and you wanted to jump back on, but you pressed circle instead. And you dropped, and there was a grenade on the floor. It just landed on the floor, and you landed perfectly on top of the grenade.
I meant to do that.
Yeah,
I meant to do that.
I was
saving Sully. Saving Sully.
But before we move on, I think we should say to the listeners, do a bit more interaction here. And it's a little bit like audio magic, which Rich Burpark never did on the podcast. I'm going to do it right now.
Right.
Okay. Listeners, I want you to think of a number between 1 and 20. Random number of your own choosing, between 1 and 20.
Can we do this as well?
17.
No.
But for some people, that absolutely will have worked and they will be losing their minds.
1 in 20 people.
No, it's a high percentage pick 17.
Okay.
So
what numbers did you pick?
13 I was thinking of.
I see 13 is surely I didn't because initially I thought 13. I thought everybody goes for 13.
Well, no, statistically,
I went
people
for
don't
16.
go between 1 and 10 because they think that's too obvious. And then a number that ends in an odd number. 17 is statistically the highest. If you pick 17, write in, let us know at IGN _UK feedback at IGN.com.
Because currently
what if they didn't pick 17?
A 0%.
Prove me right. Prove me right. Good.
Next part of this podcast.
It will be more fun.
Where's the
than
running
my
order?
bit.
Somebody save me.
So it is our greatest gaming achievements.
So this is off the back of me reaching level 30 in the Division, which may not sound like a massive achievement, but for somebody with very little time, I'm really happy with that because I've got nowhere near that.
You've got 2 young children.
Yep. I don't get to play at home very often. So I just play it during workouts. I should really probably be doing my job, but I have leveled up a bit. So while I wouldn't say it's my greatest gaming achievement, I'm very happy to have reached that. I am a little bit like, what do I do now?
It feels good to ping it, but then after that, like when I did it, I hit level 30. I went straight into the Dark Zone, think, right, I'm going to do the same in the Dark Zone. And it's not quite as simple with the Dark Zone, really. And
if you're not very high level people,
if you're not going in as a team, you're useless.
Some of us were in similar levels and we couldn't play together.
Yeah, that was a bit weird. Yeah.
So yeah, I've kind of been derailed now. I think I might go back when they release more content, but for now I think
so.
Level 30, do all the missions, and then maybe
collect all your mobile phones. It's like, I'm a really experienced agent. Why am I going around picking up mobile phones? Yeah. I think we should all just buy new ones as a country.
I haven't done any
this is below me.
There's lots of things like that.
I just took back the Russian embassy.
I like that you're always looting clothes off people, but you're in a clothes store where you're doing it as well. It's like, well, if you want a fancy scarf,
like that. It's just like we need like collectibles. That
I got some waterproof trainers at lunchtime.
Just come back to the mission control. You go, have you got any more like medical supplies? We've got kids dying here. No, I've got
heal 5 times.
But isn't my new scarf fetching?
Have you actually changed your
Urban
clothing in it?
What?
I haven't changed.
Really?
Changed my get-up since.
I changed. Well, I've got a really nice outfit now. I think I feel confident going out in New York.
Isn't it crazy?
I have a
you
night
can't
mission.
Swap out your glasses. And
do you not put like different clothes on when it's night mission?
No.
Yeah, when it's like evening, I change into something a bit
Probably
more
should
comfy.
wear a thick coat.
That'd be amazing.
I'm a bit more comfy.
I do
It depends.
Like an evening
Do
dress.
change
You said we're
quite a
going
lot.
to the Russian consulate. I was like, oh, dress up.
It's not Hitman.
So probably your biggest gaming achievement is probably like playing on the same team as me, I guess, right?
Well, yeah, it is a dream come true, but I've also done many other things as well. Like, for example, leading back to our previous point, Uncharted 1, 2, and 3, all done on Crushing, and then I did them all on Crushing again for the Uncharted Nathan
But
Drake collection as well.
How hard is
That's-
crushing?
It's pretty hard.
Yeah.
But once you know how to do it, once you get good at it, then the second time round was quite easy.
Oh.
But the first time,
Kind of
there you
undercut
go.
your own
Yeah,
achievement.
yeah.
well, because I knew where all the spawn points were. I know like what sort of bosses, how to take them all down,
Yeah.
and you become a lot more tactical. Like with the Division, when you get higher
Yeah.
levels, or you learn how to flank a lot better.
Yeah.
Because at the start, it's a cover-based shooter.
Yeah, yeah.
But once you get to a higher level,
And use
flanking.
the abilities, you know how to use them perfectly.
I did a GoldenEye and Double Agent.
Did you?
Yeah.
That was hard. Oh man.
Also, I think that speaks to a time when you could do that. Like you just said, you just did it again. But that's because the second time around you knew how to do it. But like when you have a lot of time in your hands, like at uni, I did all of Gears 1, 2, and 3 on all 3 difficulties.
Yeah.
Before, like the hardest difficulty to do it with
Yeah.
my cousin. And it was really tough, but we loved it. Just kept doing.
Yeah,
We just do it all
absolutely.
night until
Yeah.
we did it.
Yeah.
And yeah, the same thing. It's just like really taking your time for some of it.
So we're not
I don't know
really.
what
We just had bags of spare time back then. We don't have it anymore.
Oh, well,
What
you
else?
know.
I've got some more.
Depends if you like the game enough, I find. Like I make time for it if I really want to play it through on a hard mode. Like with the Uncharted one. And like Bioshock Infinite, I did that on the 1999 mode, which is like a ridiculously hard mode.
What's the restrictions on 1999?
So there was nothing
Is-
per se. It was more just everything was more intense, like less health. You know, the enemies do more damage, all that sort of stuff, really. So nothing specific. But they called it 1999 because
Because
it
it's
harkened
like
back
old
to System
school.
Shock too,
Yeah.
didn't it?
Yeah.
And that was really tough. But I loved that game so much, I was determined to do it, and yeah, did it eventually. It took
I
me a
don't
long
know if that
time.
would like affect my enjoyment of the game.
Really?
It was just like
It's not like I did it on my first playthrough.
yeah,
though.
exactly. Actually, that's probably a good point.
Yeah, you wouldn't wade straight into.
No,
that, would
definitely
you?
not. I always go on a normal mode for my first playthrough.
Yeah.
And then if I really like the game and I want to experience it again, but I like the challenge,
Yeah,
then
that's
I'll,
what- yeah.
I'll go back in and do the extra hard mode.
Yeah.
And it is a great satisfaction you get when you actually do it as well.
You love a little trophy.
I do love a trophy or two,
You
yeah.
love a trophy.
Yeah.
What about you?
I don't have anything to compete with this. Like,
What?
You must have done something
With your life.
in general.
but like, I can't imagine like I finished Super Meat Boy.
Okay.
That's a tough one.
And that's a tough game. Like I didn't get all the warp zone thing because that is impossible.
Yeah.
Like I can't imagine.
not
that.
attempted it.
Also, there's people who do a single playthrough of Super Meat Boy without dying once,
Right.
That's
and
insane.
I can't even think
Well, that
of how
is the
you can
thing.
do that.
What about Dark Souls?
So Dark Souls, like because I didn't play Dark Souls when it first came out. I went back and played it, and like, Dark Souls and difficulty is the most boring conversation to have in the world. But like, it's like once you learn how to play it, like it's challenging, but I think
Yeah.
anyone can play that game and
Yeah.
finish it. It's just like, you
Consider
need to like change the way you play and learn a couple of
Yes.
systems,
Yeah.
and then. Like anyone around this table was either fine, like apart from Rory, who just because the
You picked the
important
wrong
thing,
guy.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the important thing about Dark Souls is there's a green gauge which is your stamina,
Yeah.
and that governs like how many hits you can take holding your shield up and how many swings of your sword you can do. Rory does not pay attention to that, so he'll be like swinging until he's so knackered. So if he gets hit, it'll take maximum damage off him because he doesn't have any stamina left to use his shield.
Yeah.
And he's just like goes into a boss's crotch and just flails wildly for as long as he can.
Not me. Can I say?
Yeah. That's what he does on his weekends as well.
And then like I'm screaming at him, going, "Rory, just go do one hit, back up, repeat, and we'll finish
Take
it."
your
It's not
time.
the
Yeah.
power's way.
No.
Yeah, it's not the power's way.
I mean, the Rocket League is a good example for him. With you know,
All or
bowling.
nothing.
Yeah, but that's a game that's based on skill more than learning the system.
Yeah.
Sometimes, well, I suppose it is a bit of both, isn't it?
Yeah, a bit of
really?
both.
But he shows that he's got exceptional skill when it comes to aerial.
Yeah, and just
He is good.
He's good at
in
Rocket
that
League.
instance, Yeah. Not so much at Dark Souls.
no, he's a numpty.
Like one of my other things, Super Mario World. I got a Japanese import copy of that, and my boss at the time we got 2 copies,
Yeah.
2 SNESes, and he challenged me to finish it first. Of course, I finished it 1st by quite a long way, and so I won. It was 20 quid or whatever,
Nice.
but it's like,
That's good.
but like to finish Mario World before it even come out in the UK,
That's awesome.
and then also Tetris on Game Boy. Like when you get 100,000 points, you get the little rocket that goes up.
Really?
Yeah.
I never knew that.
God, I played it I remember I was playing
get that rocket.
I was playing it in the office at the time, and I must have spent over half a day just playing it solidly. And then if you get over 200,000 points, you get a bigger rocket, and it was just like.
It's like the King of Kong. You're just sitting there on Tetris all day.
But I think
everyone's like Tetris rocket screen.
We've got rocket screen coming.
I didn't even know it was coming.
If you're interested, we've got rocket screen.
But it kind of breaks your because you're there and you're concentrating, and then it's like, it's like and then you're back in it again.
Nice.
Yeah. Is that it, Creeper?
I don't.
What about you, Dale?
Yeah,
Come on,
another one.
you're a man who likes a challenge.
Yeah.
He's got a platinum trophy on NCIS the game.
I do. See, that was a dark time in my life where I would get any trophies I could.
NCIS.
It wasn't a very good game.
Do you know what NCIS
the
is?
TV show.
The TV show. It's like CSI, but within the Navy.
I can't remember.
The Navy's
What,
own...
a game came out?
Yeah.
It was a very easy platinum trophy. Let's put it that way.
That's what I mean. Like,
I never did Hannah Montana the game. I was close, but I never actually did
it. The game, because otherwise, get out.
You would have bought it just to get.
No. I never bought them.
Some people.
I used to rent the games from like Love Films, so when you could do that.
King Kong was in the one.
Wasn't he?
I never did that one.
Really Lost.
Yeah.
Lost. I've got that game. I never got the. No, there was no trophies on the PlayStation 1. That's why.
Oh.
But otherwise, I would have been in there.
The man scorned his like.
I don't have a single platinum on PlayStation.
I don't know if I do.
So I have 65, I think, something like that.
And too much time.
What's the hardest one?
I don't know. Maybe Bioshock. Actually, Infinite was a pretty tough one. There's quite a few that are tough. Like I haven't got an easy one in quite a few years now. So it's I got the Far Cry Primal one. I did that. I'm on track for the Division, to be fair. I can easily do that if I just put some hours in, whether I will or not. I don't really want to get those phones, though, to be honest. Yeah. I've got a lot, and some of them are quite good. Some of them not so much, we won't talk about.
This is literally what we're talking about.
Hasbro Family Game Night is probably not worth mentioning.
Hasbro Family Game Night? We're just playing it by yourself?
No.
Doing all the parts?
Just to get the trophy.
So initially get it for a family at Christmas, and then I'm like, well, I've got to clean up, obviously, afterwards with the trophies. Then I'm sitting on my
Can we stop playing this? No. It is the 2nd of February. No, we're
it's
playing
pretty
this.
much what happens on those lines. Yeah.
Any more?
Well, I can't reel them off the top of my head, but there's a lot. So go and have a look at my trophy list, and you can see them all.
But do you have anything that predates?
Yes. Before we came in, I mentioned to you about Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. I got every single gap on that game because I was just obsessed with that game, and I was looking for new ways to play the game, new things to do. And it came out when I was 15 or something like that. And I saw this gap list, and you ticked off these lists every time you got on. So I was determined, and that was before you could easily just go and read a guide for it. I don't even think we had the internet at that point.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Matt, see, I remember doing similar things in GTA 3 and Vice City, where it was what were the hidden things? The
packages.
Pigeons, wasn't it?
Well, Pigeons was 4.
Oh, was it 4? Okay.
Care packages.
Whatever, but there were 100 of them dotted around. I can't remember if they were statues or something or other. And I did that for both 3 and for Vice City.
Yeah.
Because you unlock some really cool stuff.
I did Vice City. That was a T-shirt, didn't you? You got a T-shirt at the end.
But you got really good weapons as well.
Well, I wanted the T-shirt, the 100% Vice City T-shirt.
Wear it when it's going out in Vice City. Changes that.
Yeah, but once I'd done it, there was nothing else to do in the game. So I'm walking around with this T-shirt on. That was it.
I believe in Vice City you unlocked if you got all 100, you got like the whatever the gunship was called. It unlocked it at the army base.
Right.
So I remember doing like a regular mission, but rather than tailing him in a car, I was flying.
Vice City was so good.
Yeah, it's a brilliant game. I'd love for them to kind of revisit that.
Other than to do a period thing again.
Yeah, I don't think they will. Apart from Red Dead.
It'd be cool if they went back to Vice City, but modern day.
Yeah, God, it'd be incredible. But I guess from their perspective, they're probably thinking it's something they've already done.
Yeah.
But I think Miami would be a great location to kind of see it in the modern day.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway, we should invite our listeners to kind of send in their kind of best gaming achievements. IGN_UK feedback at IGN.com. Next section.
Yeah, or unless you're the person who keeps sending us dodgy PDFs, stop emailing in.
We are getting lots of those.
Yeah.
I keep getting
Chinese pharmaceuticals.
I keep getting emails from Stuart Reed. But I don't think it's really Stuart Reed.
Because he's PDFs.
He's sending me like invoice PDFs that I have to click on. Like, really?
Open this picture. Thinking of you. Right. So, in the last week or two, there's been a rumour about where the next Call of Duty is being set. Rumours say that this year's installment of Call of Duty, developed by Infinity Ward, will be full-on sci-fi with space combat and will not be a sequel to the game, the same developers, Call of Duty Ghosts. Which is, second point, good.
Yeah.
Because Ghosts is probably the most forgettable recent entry in the Call of
great,
Duty series. But it's
although
weird.
the space scene in that was...
Yeah,
nice.
I guess maybe that's the thing that they're
catalyst,
extrapolating on.
yeah.
It's weird for them to go out into space, considering that they've got Destiny Activision. And I know that's far and more fancy space, but
But do you think they
still
think those audiences
shooting
cross
on
over?
planets? Maybe not. Maybe not because of the MMO elements. So that's kind of all news. But I wanted to suggest, where would you like to see Call of Duty go if it's not into the future and not into space? Do you wanna? You got one ready?
I've got 3.
Hit me
I've said this before.
and tell me.
Vietnam.
That's a good
Vietnam
shout.
is an amazing setting for a game like Call of Duty, because there was
Black Ops
Square.
touches upon it, doesn't it?
Yeah, a little bit, but I'm talking about like proper, like on this generation, the kind of density of the jungle you could create with like dudes with flamethrowers and like big like M61 tanks. Oh man.
I'm going to ask you a question now. Do you
Yes.
think there's more of a taste issue
Yeah.
because it's more recent and
Sure.
it was kind of a really well documented war? Do you think like some of that imagery is so potent? And I know it's like it's just time because there's no difference doing World War II
No,
on principle.
or indeed any other war.
Yeah.
Like more recent wars have been kind of adopted and covered. But I think using Apocalypse Now, like Apocalypse Now is one of my favourite films of all time. The scene, the helicopter raid. Oh my god! Imagine like playing through something
Yeah,
like
and
that.
going up like the rivers and stuff.
Yeah.
Really atmospheric.
That'd be incredible. And also, the bit with the tiger in Apocalypse Now, whereas you could pull in elements of Far Cry, where you're not just fighting. What do you play? As
Guerrilla war, like I guess in
Yeah.
guerrilla warfare in general, like you could almost have kind of maybe more RPG elements, kind of like pepper throughout it, where you're building up your like you could be the resistance fighter even. You flip it.
I would love to see a Call of Duty with more depth.
It'd be amazing if they did Call of Duty where they flipped it and you weren't the American army, you were fighting back. They would never do that.
They would never do that. I don't think. No.
Cool.
That's why.
My idea is, what if? So it's kind of based on a what if premise, like you get in alternate history. The 80s didn't have a war, but it had the Cold War.
Yeah.
What if that flipped over and turned into a hot war, i.e., war? It's like that's the opposite, isn't it? It's just tepid war,
Hot war.
hot war.
I don't even know what that means.
That's the title. Alex, get on board or get off the bus, because the title of my game is Call of Duty Hot War.
Hot war. Okay. Sounds sexy.
Yeah, everyone in pants. No, so it's so basically the USSR properly kick off.
Is it basically Homefront, but rather than Korea? It's
Nah, better than that.
Is it better than
Better than that? Because listen, hot war.
Yeah.
They didn't have that going for them. We do. So
But like, I don't understand where the hot war is coming from.
no, it's just like it's no longer a Cold War, so it spills over into actual warfare.
Right.
Because the whole point of Cold War is no one's pressing the button, no one's sending troops in. It's all espionage. So the first few missions in the game could actually be a spy game. And because of something,
the fact you're
it
gonna call
tipples over into an actual full-blown war, which the Cold War did many times
Yeah.
throughout a period of like 20, 30 years,
Yeah.
like the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yeah.
It could have all kicked off.
Yeah.
So it can be a true international conflict. Essentially, it would have turned into World War III.
Yeah.
But set in that period, so you can still have relatively modern technology and a variety of international locations.
I do remember growing up in that time.
Hot war.
And not ever saying hot war, but I remember like being in the playground and nukes and
The threat
button
of
being
like
pressed was like
there's a big
it
thing
was
in
real.
There was lots of programs in the 80s in the UK about
Well,
the
like
threat
when
of
the
like
wind
nuclear
blows and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
And if you could tap into that style,
Yeah.
I think it'd be really cool. Like very different game, but Everybody's Gone to Rapture last year. It was set in the 80s.
Yeah.
And tapped into the kind of the idea of the paranoia of nuclear war.
Yeah.
It'd be really cool to set a game and make it feel like authentically 80s as well.
All right, so far we've got Call of Duty Nam, Call of Duty Hot War.
Well, I feel like they're already doing what would be my idea. I mean, I'm a massive sci-fi geek anyway, and I've never really been into Call of Duty at all. Like, I've just never been interested in war games, really. So this would be the thing that would
What
pull
kind
me
of
in.
sci-fi? would you
I say
want it to
I
be
love
then?
all sorts of sci-fi really, but for this,
Because surely I
I'd
might
like this
be
to be
wrong.
very near future.
I was going to say their interpretation will
but haven't
probably
they
be
already
a little
done
bit
kind of really near future? It wasn't
not
Advanced
in
Warfare,
space.
like
Not in space.
okay, all right.
But I almost think Advanced Warfare is more distant future than what I'm talking about. I mean, like literally
Different
2 years
location.
from now,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
just in space. Because
Right.
once Advanced Warfare with like all the mechs and I feel like that's almost just a bit too futuristic
Yeah.
for what I'm thinking about.
Do you think part of this is in response to how obviously popular Star Wars has become, like in the last year again? Obviously, Star Wars is always popular, but you know what I mean.
I think there's scope for somebody to come along and do something in a shooter that is more fantasy or horror or something that's a very different set of imagery and tropes, because everything military they're all sci-fi.
Yeah.
Like it's laser guns, it's mechs.
Of course, yeah.
It'd be cool. I don't know if you could ever do it, but they've kind of dabbled in it in the zombie mode,
Right.
where they go
Yeah.
full on kind of crazy stuff in there, which is
Jeff Goldblum feature.
yeah, and like
isn't it?
imagery that you wouldn't see. Like there's like witches and
Yeah.
obviously zombies, but like kind of stuff you don't see in a regular shooter. What if they made that the entire game?
I absolutely agree. Like take it like properly like fanciful and exciting. Like if they're going to do sci-fi, I would rather they made it a bit like the level they did, so it's kind of like Gravity in space. But I don't know how you would stretch that.
If they're doing sci-fi, for me, it would be I want Aliens, the game,
but that's Halo.
a good game.
Halo does that really well.
You think Halo is Aliens? I
is it
don't
then?
think that.
Well,
No.
well, Aliens is Vietnam in space, isn't
Yeah, Aliens is that really dirty, gritty sci-fi with like real physical guns.
Aliens,
Yeah.
rather than Aliens.
Yeah, I meant the film
right,
Alien,
yeah,
the
no,
franchise
yeah,
Sorry.
Alien.
No,
Aliens.
right. Yeah, I meant.
But that's what I
was
want.
Like they're absolutely aliens in Halo.
What are you saying, mate?
But I just
Not
don't want.
aliens.
I don't want aliens in it.
I want
No,
a cat.
But not necessarily like shooting aliens. I just mean aesthetically, like style-wise. That's what I would want. Like that sort of gritty sci-fi.
Yeah.
Because there's never. I mean, yeah. What was the game that came out? Isolation last year. That was a great game, but it
Go and
wasn't.
play Colonial Marines. That game was great.
That's what I was just going to get to. See, there's never been a
They've
game
patched it.
like that.
Patched it's fine.
Oh, was it?
Patched it.
Oh, okay, I'll get
Well,
back
no,
on that.
somebody's modded it actually to make it playable.
Well, one day they will make
But still.
Would be good.
a
if
good
developers
Marines
did that.
game.
I think it was very much on them.
So if you're going to set it in space, I think they should tie it in with a license. And I was thinking either Starship Troopers or
That's a good shout.
Edge of Tomorrow, which I think is a great premise.
Do you not think the Call of Duty license is a good, strong enough license for them to attach it to?
Yeah, but like I'm trying to think of like a futuristic version. Like I see, I'm the opposite. I just don't want another sci-fi
Oh,
game.
you know what I
Right.
want? Captain Price, the early years. He's like one thing about Call of Duty that I'll consistently love, Captain Price.
Wasn't
He's
he just
awesome.
in Modern Warfare?
Yeah, he's just in the Modern Warfare
Yeah.
series, but he's based on that real SAS dude who
Yeah,
did the
yeah.
Iranian embassy, and he's in a series that isn't well known for its characters. I definitely remember him and really liked him, and you felt like obviously he's the biggest badass in the SAS.
Yeah.
But cool to do his early years. I know maybe that's not got widespread appeal, but
What about-
he could just be the main character.
What about Ross Kemp?
I was just thinking
Ross
that.
Kemp.
Do you know what
Ross
SAS
Kemp.
stands for?
Uh,
Super Army Soldier. It's right.
People writing in. No, it does not.
Yes, I'm very aware it does not stand for that.
What does it stand for? Special Air Service.
There you go.
Wow.
I mean, what does that mean?
It was on the tip of my tongue.
What does it mean?
Have you got any more?
That's it. They're very much out of
Well, I've got another
suggestions.
one.
Oh. I didn't know we were doing like 5. You.
Oh no, 3.
All right.
I put some effort into this.
I wrote none.
Look, we've done it before, been there before. World War II. It's time to return to World War II.
No, I
Unfinished
disagree.
business.
No.
Call of Duty 2 was brilliant, one of the best Call of Duties, and since then it's got more modern and all fancy.
Would you like to actually just take on Hitler, like up close and personal?
And not Mecha Hitler or anything like that,
No.
just, plain and simple Hitler.
Just the final levels in the bunker.
Yeah,
Just go in.
just punching him. Fist fight with
In the
Hitler.
back of the head.
What about World War One? World War One never gets any love in these situations.
Well,
does
we'll
it?
love.
The problem you've got, and we've like
No
it's-
good
it's-
bad guy.
Also, like the
Weak
weapons,
antagonist.
the weapons are a little bit rubbish.
Yeah, muskets
like-
and stuff like that, I suppose.
Because
I
you've got
think
you've
they
got
use
Hitler,
I'm thinking
you've got
of,
sub-bosses,
baronets.
you've got Mussolini, you've got Goebbels, you've got Stalin, good second bosses.
It's like in the division, you get like first lieutenant, second lieutenant, all of those guys.
You got all these loads of good baddies. First World War, what have you got?
I want
Mustard
sweet
gas.
Trenches.
Poppies.
Puppies.
But you'd have a little game of football in the middle.
Yeah.
Mini game?
War horse. I'm untangling a horse out of barbed wire for 2 hours. Mini game.
They could do crossover with Rocket
events.
League. Crossover with Rocket League for the football game in the middle. There you go.
What, with just
Waiting
like
to happen.
tanks? I like to think that my suggestions were probably better than yours.
Probably, just by a smidge.
Yeah.
Because I put some thought into it.
Cool. Do you have any good ideas? Let us know. IGN_UK feedback IGN.com. Oh, Arthur, yeah. We should actually read this out because this is the email that prompted the entire discussion. Sorry, Arthur. Hi, gang. I was wondering what your preferences were for the next Call of Duty. My suggestions: American War of Independence. Come on, Redcoats versus Minutemen. Let's avoid the usual racist terrorist tropes by putting Caucasians on both sides. Sure, some license might have to be taken to improve fire rates, but it'll be a nice change from the endless parade of games with augmented super soldiers.
I definitely don't want any augmented super soldiers.
Imagine, but he's right with fire rate. Imagine I shot you, reload for about 5 minutes. Get in a minute.
I've dropped my ball bearings.
Make a mini game out of it.
Mini game.
All we do with the mini
It
games.
could be like the active reload on Gears.
Oh, they're changing
right.
that. Can't talk about that yet. Okay.
For the better?
People are going to go crazy about that. No, it's fine. It makes sense.
Okay.
Good change.
All
Right, feedback. Who wants to go first? Shall I go first?
Yeah, you go first.
This is from Edward. Hey, Edward. So he says, important email this, picking up on the conversation that's been going on recently. I think the cat and the fiddle continues because it's a local thing, you know. Like, if anything ever is mentioned about Wales, you can hear Gav's underpants elastic snapping. Any acknowledgement of anywhere in the UK outside of London is a win for the little guy of said place. I want to stand corrected. The Cat and Fiddle Road is more of a link between Macclesfield and Buxton. The Manchester and Sheffield link is Snake's Pass, another road that is notoriously dangerous, just in case this continuous saga got any more confuddled. And how can Dan call himself a northerner and have no prior knowledge of these places? I smell a fraud. Well, it's because I grew up further north than most of those places. Right, you didn't having a pop at me.
I think.
Come on now.
You're not really a northerner.
You call yourself
You're
a northerner?
Cockney.
I'm a what?
Do your best Cockney
Shut your
accent.
What?
Do your best Cockney accent.
That's not going to prove anything.
I don't care. I just want to hear it.
No, I'm not dancing to your tune today, Alex.
Look, this is for the benefit of our listeners. They all want to hear. If you
I
want
really want to hear it now.
If you want to hear Creeper do a Cockney accent,
Oh, blimey.
Where's so high pitched?
Mary Poppins.
you sound like Rory Powers.
I sound like our American colleagues when they try to sound like an English person.
Yes.
Offensive.
Outrageous. What's that all about?
So I have no idea.
Nobody knows.
The giant's crotch.
But yeah,
or whatever it is?
any more on that? Let us know.
Yeah.
What's your favourite tricky road to negotiate?
We really doing this?
Yeah.
Good, because I prepped 4.
there is a road. Oh my god, I cannot remember what it's called. It's in
story,
the
man.
Lake District, and it is called something like the Impossible or something like that.
Should we go down here?
But
like Allswell.
Charlotte and I drove up it in a 1.2 Clio.
Nice.
Nice. And survived to tell the tale.
Like on a date.
It's just a bit steep. Like, it was like you're going
she was like,
quite
I still
slow.
think we should go up here.
Shh. But it's called
I've
the
got this.
Impossible. It's not called the Impossible. If you live there, please tell me what
A
it's
lot of
called.
those roads next to the lakes in the actual Lake District are a bit scary.
Yeah,
It gets very close to the road, and then if it rains a bit hard,
Yeah.
it goes over the road. Not having it.
Also, when we went on holiday to Crete, we drove back the way that the GPS told us to come, and that was the most. That was the
I've done a few of them.
scariest thing that I've ever done. Literally sheer drops on the side.
I'm not doing that.
The only
alright.
positive is because obviously the driver was on the other side, so I wasn't that close.
safety
She
first.
was.
Pull up first. I can still get out in
How
time.
there am I? Fucking there. Is it me? Okay, so Adam Lees writes in saying, I have been enjoying it. I thought I've said I've not been really enjoying it.
Oh, Christ.
I've been enjoying Prepare to Try series, and it's inspired me to tackle a Souls game soon. I'm not normally patient enough for those kind of games, but I'm willing to learn and put the effort in. I wondered, should I attempt Bloodborne, which I have a copy of, or wait for Dark Souls 3? I'm curious to know whether Rory will give either of these a shot after completing Dark Souls. Well, let's hope not.
Christ. That's a sobering thought, isn't it? I think if you've got Bloodborne,
Look,
you should play it.
I would say
Like, yeah,
you've done.
once you got the
Well,
copy
you're
from-
almost at the
yeah.
end of the first game. You need to do 2, 3, and Bloodborne next.
You would, you know. I don't. But no,
No,
do
but
Dark
would
Souls
you?
2. I would, but if we do it in a more sensible fashion, which we can do, doing it like this is madness. I think if you've got a copy of Bloodborne, you should absolutely play it because it's a brilliant game and it's totally different to Dark Souls. Yes, there's similarities. You can sell them made by the same people, but in terms of its story setting and style, entirely different. So play that, and then you can go on to Dark Souls 3. I think it's actually a good primer for Dark Souls 3.
So you'd skip Dark Souls 2?
Skip 2, go back to 1. I'd be surprised. Well, if you've got Xbox... Oh, no, you won't, because Bloodborne's PS4 exclusive.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if Dark Souls doesn't get a HD remaster at some point.
Demon Souls?
Dark Souls.
Oh, Dark Souls.
Like, I don't know. That's
Did you
not
ever
based
play
on
Demon
anything.
Souls?
A little bit. I got it free on PS Plus.
Right.
It's one of those games that it'd be cool if they remastered that as well.
Yeah.
Because there's so many cool online features.
Yeah.
And obviously no one's really playing it anymore.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I would do Bloodborne, and then you can go back to Dark Souls 1 or 3.
Okay.
Cool. Yes.
You've got a piece of feedback?
Oh, I do have a piece of feedback. Hi all, I'm Sean from Liverpool. Just first wanted to thank you all for keeping me thoroughly entertained on my commute to and from my girlfriend's house. So he has to commute to and from his girlfriend's house.
It's work being with you.
Your banter has nearly had me bursting out with laughter and gathering strange looks from the other commuters.
Nearly.
Cheeky raise again.
Only just. My question is, should I pick up MGS5 despite the fact that I've never played a previous MGS game? I've heard the story is very convoluted and dense, but the open world gameplay tempts me incredibly. Do you think great gameplay can make up for skipping the story? Keep up the great work, you lot. And a word that begins with D at the end that we're not allowed to say anymore.
Ooh.
You are allowed to say it.
Oh, is that say duck hunt?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because you're reading out somebody else's.
Oh, yeah. Sean said duck hunt, not me.
Well, seeing as you've finished Metal Gear 5, would you recommend it?
Yes, very much so. But I'm not sure, because I've played them all a lot of times. Like all the previous games are some of my favourite games, so I'm not sure I can see whether it'd be worth it. Yeah,
I think a lot of people that aren't clear on the story and still derive a lot of enjoyment from those games. So I don't think that's maybe the necessary factor. But do you think it's a good one to start with?
I think it's a really fun game to play.
It is a really fun game.
But I'm not
even
sure.
If it's a fun game to play, like even if you don't make it all the way to the end, like you can still have a really good time.
Yeah.
The best thing about Metal Gear Solid 5 is if you're not that bothered about story, you can easily play it. And it's very
incidental.
It's like a bunch of challenges.
Yeah, and out of all the
basically.
Metal Gear games, it's the least intrusive.
It's definitely the one to play if you're going to choose one to play.
Yeah.
But I can't not recommend playing them all, to be honest, because they're all such great games. And you do get a little bit out of it, but especially in the chapter 2, was it episode 2 they call it? I can't remember. But after you finish the main game, there's a whole other section, and the story elements in them harken back to previous games.
Right.
Go for Snake Eater.
Snake Eater is a classic.
It's a great game. I think that's it for this week's
It is.
podcast. The email address, if you want to drop us some feedback, IGN_UK feedback at IGN.com. Until then, we will see you later. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.
Bye.